Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back on Isabelle's talk show. And today, my guest coming all the way from Kenya, and you've already seen before, is Elijah Maina. So, Elijah, welcome again on Isabelle's talk show.
Thank you.
So, before we launch the topic with Elijah, I want to introduce Elijah. So, as I said, he lives in Kenya. He loves salsa dancing, so do I, and watching documentaries. So, Elijah's journey into the dynamic world of entrepreneurship commenced as a graphic designer and a digital marketer. This invaluable experience allowed him to perfect his craft in creating visually captivating graphic content and executing effective digital campaigns for his clients. As he continued to expand his expertise, he recognized the pivotal role of web design in establishing a strong online presence for businesses in today's digital landscape. Consequently, he acquired web design skills and helped his clients build beautiful, responsive websites. But soon, he realized that visually striking websites and graphic designs alone could not guarantee the success of his clients' businesses. Instead, a powerful brand identity and effective communication strategy were critical components for any organization's growth and sustainability. This profound realization led him to shift his focus, and he becomes digital marketing and branding consultant. Leveraging his experience and knowledge, he helps clients develop clear and compelling messaging that resonates with their target audience and establish a robust brand identity. Really, his passion is to guide entrepreneurs, startups, and growing businesses through the process of building their business and brand, and he loves witnessing his clients' success. So he offers guidance and support his clients so they achieve their goals by building a brand that reflects their vision, set them apart from their competition, and drive their growth. So thank you very much, Elijah, for being here. And today you're talking about the Essence Brand Guideline. You're going to give us some guidelines about our brand. So yeah, all yours.
Thank you, my friend Isabelle. It's a pleasure to come back and just share and have this space just to create an impact and maybe interact with your audience. I've been watching what you've been doing. You've been doing an amazing job, and trying just to create impact and giving us a space where we can share. And thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, actually. So allow me to say hi to our audience. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from where you're coming from. And I'm so glad to be here with my buddy and just have a conversation about branding. So as she rightfully said, I'm Elijah. And today we are just going to talk about the essence of having a brand guideline. So I would want to start here, Isabelle, just to set a foundation, because I know with the brand, I know it's a very interesting topic. So I always want to set the foundation so that we don't ignore that everybody understand what a brand is, because we know we have the startups, the newbies in the game. So it is good to set a foundation for them. And just for the sake of getting the guidance through my presentation, I would just want to share my screen so that we are guided through the presentation. So you can confirm for me when you see my screen there. Good. So for those who will be listening in and not watching, don't worry, there is nothing that you'll be missing. This is just for the presenter guidance. So welcome to this session. As Isabelle said, I run an agency, a digital creative agency. It's called Maze. And currently, interesting thing, as we are doing this podcast, Isabelle, we were doing our rebranding. So it's a nice opportunity just coming and just discussing about this. I know you didn't know about it. And that's why you're surprised with the new look and feel of our brand. So we have been in operation for about now five years, going to the 6th year. And we felt it is important because of the clients we are attracting for us to rebrand wholly. So there is the branding, there is the rebranding, and then there is what we call de-branding. So branding is now when you're doing it afresh, just creating an identity which we will be defining just for our newbies who do not know about what a brand is. Then there is the rebranding. Rebranding is where you have been in existence, you have been having your brand, but you feel now you need a new representation, so you redo your whole branding. Then there is de-branding. So de-branding basically is where maybe, for example, if you can see on my presentation there, my logo has like an artwork there with the yellowish orange touch and feel. So maybe 3, 4, 5 years to come, I might feel we need to take it off for some particular reasons. So reducing some elements from the brand. So that is what we call de-branding. So as we were doing rebranding, and thank you for the opportunity as you're presenting this, I wanted you to know that it's the rightful moment. So jumping into it, I would want just to set the foundation for us to understand what a brand is. So for us just to understand what is a brand. So basically, I think Marty did a good work to define what a brand is. So Marty is a brand expert. He has been in the business for the longest. He's an author. He has authored several books on branding. Several books on branding, and they are nice books. So Marty says that a brand is not what a company says it is, but rather what people perceive it to be. So it's not what you tell people you are, it's what they perceive you. So a brand is a perception. It's a perception of how do people perceive you. For example, perceive you personally as a personal brand, or perceive your business as a brand. So one of the things, Isabelle, I would want to note down here to our listeners is, most of the time we think as business owner or brand owners, we think that we are in charge of the perception. But I would want us to understand that we are not and never in charge of the perception. What we do, we are in charge of giving people suggestions of how they should perceive us. So we are in the business of giving them suggestion through our the colors that we use, the typography, the marketing messages that we use, the brand positioning, how we set up our website. We are in the business of giving them the suggestion. So for example, you run Phoenix, and there is a particular way you would want us to perceive Phoenix, right? But you're not in charge of how we perceive it. So what you can only do is to give a suggestion who Phoenix is based on how you envisioned it. So you through your marketing, through your messaging, you make sure that we understand what you represent. So a brand is just a perception. And once we understand it's a perception, it becomes a very, very beautiful journey. Because once you understand that brand is a perception, then you know you're in the business of influencing people's emotion towards you or towards your business. You're in the business of influencing them to perceive you in a particular way. So it is very, very vital to set that foundation. And for you to build a very, very successful brand, there are 4 things, or 4 components that I always say. I've just divided everything into 4 components just for ease of understanding and ease of flow. So to build a very successful brand, you need 4 components. Number 1 is visual communication. So visual communication stems down to the logo, the logo, the brand colors, the iconography, the illustrations, the photography, the imagery in terms of photography and video, So it stems down to what do we see? So if you'd want to build a very successful brand, you have to be intentional. How do you represent your brand visually, right? One of the things, back then, before I was off the market in terms of marriage, because I'm married, when I was looking to get married, one of the things I went to before even having a conversation with the lady that I fell in love with was the visual, how she looked. Did she meet my my expectation, So basically, That's the vibe. So if you want to build a very successful brand, you need to be very intentional. Unfortunately, Isabelle, most of the entrepreneurs and business owners and brand owners, they're never intentional. How are we represented in terms of our prints, our imagery, our videos, our colors, our fonts? Basically they ignore that. So if you cannot define yourself, then you give us the chance to define you. And sometimes we might be mean when we give you a definition. So you need to jump in and start being the person who now spearheads in terms of your visual, being intentional. This is how I want to be seen. They say that never judge a book by
cover. The cover.
So when somebody says never judge or do not judge, it means by default or naturally we do judge. That's why you're encouraged never to judge, because naturally that's what we do. So your image or your visuals are very, very important. The second category is verbal communication. So verbal carries both the written and the spoken communication of your brand. So most of the time we ignore this, but we need to be very intentional. How are we represented in terms of spoken and also written conversation or communication? So sometimes you might find as business owners or as maybe marketers, we are representing a particular brand. Sometimes we communicate carelessly. We don't care. It never mind. We don't mind about it. So sometimes we lose business or we lose target audience because they don't follow through. So it's very, very important to be intentional. Who am I talking to? Then how am I speaking to them? How am I communicating to them? So if you're talking to a very vibrant, lively audience, then your words, your words or your written communication, or even your spoken communication, maybe in terms of video podcast, a podcast, and also any form of spoken communication, you need to be very, very intentional. How does it come out? Does it appeal to them? Does it talk to them? Does it do they identify with it? I remember some time back, when I was a newbie, we have worked with you. I have a cheeky character. I love joking. I love laughing around, having fun with my clients. But unfortunately, I came to understand there are clients who do not buy to my personality. For them, they do not have time for jokes. They have time for business. So I had to change how I talk to them. I couldn't now talk to them how I would talk to my buddy Isabelle. With you, I feel at ease. We have fun. But with them, you need to be spot on. Go straight to the point. Show them where the value is. Don't insert jokes inside. Be serious, be formal. And I remember I lost some clients because of my personality. Before I understood why did we engage and never closed this deal, and I realized it is the verbal communication. So you need to understand, who are you talking to? Then how do you talk to them? Then be intentional about it. The third category is the customer experience. I know you have been in the game for the longest, and you have come to realize that some of businesses or business owners, they are very good at speaking, but when it comes to delivery, oh my goodness.
Oh yes.
Or when it comes to you experiencing their business or their brand, it becomes a turn off. You're like, oh my goodness. I remember maybe sometime back you find that you saw an advert, you are very, very interested to engage this kind of a person or this kind of a business, but the experience that you got from there, they say that you can forget what people say. You can even forget what you are saying tonight, but you can never forget how someone made you feel.
The experience, the emotion.
I remember we were being sometime my mentor was teaching me and telling me you might get to an office, maybe a serious office, maybe you're in employment, you get to an office and your boss is talking to you while holding their mobile phone. They're busy, and then they're what were you saying? And then you can get to another office and maybe the boss gets the phone down, even put it away, maybe even in the pocket, and hey, what were you saying? Those two experiences, they are not the same. The first one makes you feel like you are never deserving to be in that position, like you are not a person that you can be listened to. So people never forget how they feel. So it's very, very important. And you being in the business, you understand the people, how important relationship is, and the repeat customers who come to us or come to myself, or the referral customers that we get through the word of mouth, which is a very powerful marketing strategy, word of mouth. When they come to us, it's because we made someone feel good about themselves, or we made them feel good how we served them, how we communicated to them. So customer experience is very, very, very important. You might have very, very beautiful or very, very sophisticated or very, very idealistic or very, very timely product, but it might be off the market within no time because of how you make people feel. They might start rebelling. And nowadays, if you've noticed, customers, they have a lot of power because of social media. Nowadays, if your business represents the BS, then they call you out. They're like, oh, don't buy from this person. This is a bad brand. This is the experience I got. Actually, today, people have power because they have video power, like journalism power on their palm. So they can just take their phone and record a video and, so customer experience is becoming a very, very key thing. Then lastly is customer interaction. So if you want to build a brand that can live even after you are off this world, make sure you know how to interact. The people skill, interact with people, because they say that your network is your network, and no man is an island. So you need customers, you need investors, you need you need employees, you need partners to help you build this brand. So you are not an island, you're not the superstar business of building a brand. So you need partners, you need investors, you need you need funders, you need customers to keep the business running. So you need to be very intentional. How does your brand relate with people? One of the things, Isabelle, we do as business owners and entrepreneurs, we leave this responsibility to expert, and we sit back. We sit back and leave it to expert. We're expecting that the expert is the one to set this. You need to roll back your sleeves and be part of it, because you are the one who is shaping the culture of this brand. I remember back then when I was joining my high school back here in Kenya. I remember there are schools that you could go to and immediately you start excelling because of the culture there. And a school like the one that I joined, once you get in, you started failing from from when you joined, because of the culture there, because we found that the culture was not set. The environment was not set to thrive. And it was not the students, it was the leadership of the school. So you cannot tell me that you are the leader of the brand and you sit back and leave it to the expert or leave it to your team members. You need to be on the forefront. How are we represented on our visual, on our verbal communication, on our customer experience, on our customer interaction, and be very, very intentional about it. All right, good. So again, now, having set that foundation, now I would want us now to jump in to now the discussion of the day, which is a brand guideline. And I know we want now to understand what is a brand guideline and what is the essence of a brand guideline. So remember, we have said that a brand is a perception, right? So a brand guideline is just a set of rules, all right? A set of rules or a set of rules on how your brand needs to be represented. All right, it's just the manual on how your brand needs to be represented. For example, as we have rebranded, you have noticed my colors: blue, white, and then orange and yellow. So this is orange now on the screen. On the screen, we have the orange, but this orange has other shades, right? So if I would send you my brand and you put it on another shade, then you are misrepresenting me. Because with these colors, there is a communication that I'm passing. You see the blue there? I put it there because I am representing calmness. You know, I want my clients to feel they are calm. When they come to us, they feel this is a safe space for them. Then we have the orange, which represents the enthusiasm. Yeah, so it represents them being enthusiastic just to achieve their goals, because we are there to help them achieve their goals. The yellow, you know, vibrancy, bringing the vibrancy. We want to help our clients be vibrant. And now the white is now there now to complement the other colors. So I can imagine you taking my orange that is supposed to represent what I want to communicate, you know, even without non-verbally. I want to communicate it non-verbally and now make it stick to other people's mind, and I need them to perceive me this way. Then you put a different shade of orange. You will be misrepresenting me. It's just like misquoting people. You've heard people say, do not misquote me. I didn't say that.
That's true, and that's your identity. It's the same for me. I mean, the orange, the yellow, and the red, that's the empowerment, that's the fire, right? So and that's what I am as well.
Wow, fantastic. So it is very, very important for you to have this. One of the things you find that entrepreneurs, their brand is all over. Okay, because I've been in the game helping brands develop brand identity, and I've been in the game helping them come up with this manual. Some of them, you find that they have been having their brand or their business for over maybe 10 years, but their brand is everywhere. It is misrepresented. And sometimes they are like, oh, Elijah, what do I need to do? Because I feel like our brand is not growing, or it's not making an impact out there, or we are not achieving what we want to achieve. I feel like we are misrepresented. And that's why I always encourage, it's important to have a guideline. So a brand guideline has several things, and a brand guideline number one, as the first set of rule, it helps you to it encompasses the first set of rule that it encompasses is the brand strategy. So the brand strategy carries, what is your mission? All right. Your mission is your why. Why are you running that particular business? Why did you get to that business? What do you want to, you know, accomplish? Then your vision is, where are you going? Where are you taking your client, or where are you taking this brand? This is our vision. So your brand strategy, and your values, again, it carries your values. What are your values? And then finally, it carries your unique selling point. One of the things that brands make, one of the mistakes that brands make, they create this, they copy paste this from the internet, from other businesses, and they say, this is our mission, because they have seen someone else. So the other mistake that they do is that they assume that this mission is for the consumption of their clients. No. Number one, your brand strategy is for first internal consumption. You need it for your internal consumption. What is our mission? Your team needs to know. Your partners needs to know. Your designers needs to know. This is why we are in this business. So that when I'm creating like your brand messaging, when I'm creating your marketing, when I'm creating your sales, maybe sales pitch, when I'm creating your website, I understand totally. This is the mission. All right. So it helps you align. So the mistake you do, most of the business owners have seen them do, they go to the internet, Google, they copy paste, they just touch it a bit and paste it. So once you paste it, it's no longer your mission. So you're never passionate about it. I remember last year I was coaching some wonderful individuals on their personal brand, setting up their personal brand, and now building their personal brand as an asset to become to use it as a revenue. And one of the things I noticed is this: they were doing that with their mission and their vision, but once we went through it and they did it for themselves, I'm telling you, it was just like, you know, just like us now. You know, their way of doing things started changing. Their way of packaging themselves started changing. They started becoming so enthusiastic about what they are doing. They were very aware and conscious, so they became intentional, and they started even doubling how they used to earn, you see. So brand strategy is very, very important for your team to see, for your stakeholders to see. This is our mission, this is our vision, these are our values. And now unique selling point is now private to the company. What is so unique about your brand? We might have hundreds of brands like yours, but what sets you apart? Maybe it is your customer experience. Yes, maybe it is your speed. I remember I've forgotten this company in 2012 that they got into the glasses business, selling glasses business. I've forgotten their name. I think it was in the US. Yeah, I was just getting that story from one podcast, and one of the things they did, they were on an online shop, so they used to send you like five pairs, and they could send you 5 pairs of glasses faster, within a very short period of time. Then you could test which one looks best with your face, complements your face, and makes you feel happy. And then you could buy that one. And it was just that simple gesture, They became a big business. I think I've forgotten that. I wish I had it just on top of my mind, but it's okay. It's okay. So basically, it's very, very, very important to have a strategy. Number 2, your brand guideline carries your brand identity. Brand identity. Now, this is the mistake that most people do. They mistake brand identity for brand. So most of them, they mistake, maybe I have a logo, this is my brand. No, it is not. I have color palette, this is my brand. No, it is not. It is just part of your brand. All right, so it is just part of the tools that you use to create that perception. So brand identity carries the logo. Okay, it carries the logo. So with the logo, I would want just to comment this. The logo doesn't have to tell a story. It is just a mark of identity. It's just like your face and mine, right? You can see, if I could call you Elijah, it would be a mistake, because I identify you because of how I see you, right? So logo is just a mark of identity. Even we do it with the animals, in the farms, you tag them. Either you tag them on the ear and put the number, or you just brand them number 1, number 2, number 3, so that you can differentiate which, when you're taking data about those animals. So it's just a mark of identity. And the essence of a logo is that you need to paste it everywhere your brand is represented, not for it to tell a story, but for it to sink in the consumers. Remember, we said that a brand is a perception that you're selling. You wanted to say something?
Yes, to see in a way. So because we are more visual than auditive. So, I mean, for me, it works. Colors and a logo, and I will remember it more than if it's a name, for example.
For sure. For example, today, when you have like an iPhone, you don't need the name iPhone. You just know, and maybe Phoenix, you don't need to be told, we don't have to write Phoenix. If we can see now the logo mark, then basically you're good to go. So the logo is just a mark of identity for you to be identified and to be set apart. And logo carries several things. Number 1, logo carries what we call a logo mark. So a logo mark, basically, maybe if I would show, sorry for those who will be listening in and not watching. So a logo mark is just a symbol. For example, if you can see there on my logo, we have just a symbol there. On top, we have a symbol there. It doesn't carry the name. So it's just a symbol. For example, the iPhone, that apple that has been bitten on one side, that's the logo mark. Then a logo again carries what we call the logo word mark. The logo word mark. Word mark now is the name. For example, Phoenix. That's the word mark, okay? And now you can include on the logo, some include maybe their tagline, okay? For example, us, we have included a tagline, but it is not a must. For us, for ease of communication, we have used it as a strategy so that whenever you see our logo, you'll know we are all about. We are all about innovative, captive, and succeed. We want to be innovative to captivate you, and to help you succeed. So basically, it encompasses those three things. The other thing that is encompassed on brand identity is the color palette. So color palette is now the color code. So if it is a blue, we have shades of blue. So you need to have you need to be intentional to understand that each color has a code. So you need to have your own brand color code, so that if today you go to a designer, you will tell them our color code is #FFF01. All right, that's our color code. So we are not represented by any other color code because we have so many blue. Because we have shades of blue. We have so many oranges because we have shades of them. So you need to know which is your color code. Again, we have typography. Typography is good. Typography is good. We have on typography, we have some typography that are playful. Okay, they are a bit playful because of the communication that you want to, or the emotion that you want to invoke. There are those that are very formal and sophisticated. You know, there are those that are condensed. You know, there are those that are stretched. So you need to understand, what is your font type? Is it Arial? Is it Bodoni? Is it Montserrat? What is your brand typography type? Okay, so it's very, very important. And you might see from my presentation, I have two types of brand type fonts. I have this one, the top one, and now I have the formal one. Okay, so they complement each other. So as a business owner, you need to know which are our font types, so that when you communicate, then it's easy for you to communicate to every stakeholder. These are the fonts that we use, right? Recently, there is a franchise, a US franchise that was launched in Kenya, but because you are not here to advertise, I'll not mention it. That was launched in Kenya, the franchise. And I was part of the team that was hired just to do the local brand representation, brand artworks and all that. So they were launching, and one of the things they were doing, they were giving us brand briefs. They were telling, they have been in the business. They have been in the business for over, I think, for over 42 years now. I think for over 42 years. And now they were launching their product here. And one of the things they were very key, these are our fonts. These are our colors. If you are to do a poster, social media poster, this is how it needs to be done. If it is photography, that way. So brand identity, the other thing it encompasses is imagery in terms of photography and video. Some of the brands, they might decide, for example, mine, you have seen, I don't want colored photos. I want photos that are black and white with a gradation of blue. That is what I want now to be using and reusing it, so that it syncs. So that when you see even a part of our presentation, you'll be, that is mess, all right? So you need to be very intentional with the photography, the type of photography that you use, and the type of imagery that you use, and even the attitude that they bring on board. So, for example, if we see like a company like Coca-Cola, their photo or their imagery is happy, you know, happy. We are having the happy vibe, all right? Though we use Coca-Cola in corporate meetings, we take Coca-Cola products in corporate meetings, but I don't think they are just fans of our corporate faces. You know, our corporate faces are very serious. So for them, the vibe, they are very intentional, so that when you see that picture, you see the vibe, the happiness, the enthusiasm, the passion, and you know, the fun around it. Then we have the illustrations. Illustrations are in terms of maybe cartoons, in terms of the, you know, the illustration, and iconography. Iconography, it is in terms of the icons that you use to represent your brand. Okay, so brand identity. So that is number 2 on your brand guideline. You need to have all those on your, so we have said the logo, the color palette, the typography, the photography, the videography, the illustration, and iconography. You need to have a rule for each to define it to your stakeholders. Number 3 is tone of voice. The tone of voice. So every brand has a personality. For example, I know, Isabelle, your personality. We have been working with you. I just love you for your personality, and that's why we keep on keep on building the business relationship. So your brand is just like a person. It has a personality. So you need to define what is our personality. If we would use the personality of Coca-Cola, they are fun. You know, their personality is all about fun, having good time. You know, that is all they want to be represented with. Then number 2 on the tone of voice is the attitude. All right. As human beings, also, we have an attitude. As we were starting this podcast, there's the attitude that you came in with and I came in with. All right. So also your brand needs to have an attitude. And this attitude needs to be felt from your write-ups to your videos to your podcasts. You know, it needs to be felt. So if your attitude is playful, for example, your attitude is you're playful, your attitude, you want to have the playful kind of attitude, jokey, cheeky kind of attitude, then your write-up needs to be cheeky, your font, they need to be playful, your video needs to bring that out. Like, for example, Red Bull, got you wings.
Yeah.
They have been so something like that. So then the attitude needs to come out, and it needs to be intentional, and it needs to be repeated. So if today Red Bull did a very serious advert, I would be wondering what's happening. If they were just like corporate, like I wouldn't like buy from them. You know, I would be like, oh my God, what's happening here? You know, I wouldn't buy their ad. I wouldn't buy that vibe, because for the longest they have told us that their attitude is a bit cheeky, sporty, aggressive. You know, that kind of attitude. Then the messaging hierarchy. On your tone of voice, you need to have a hierarchy of how you message. For example, you might decide on our hierarchy of messaging, we always start with the header, then the body, then at the end of every communication, we have a call to action. So that is the hierarchy of our communication. So once you have that, if today I came in as a copywriter and I'm writing for you your blog, I will make sure that every time I start with a very catchy header, then the body, but at the end of it, I call people to action. That is your hierarchy. But for others, the hierarchy might be, you start maybe with the header, the lead, and the body without call to action, because maybe for them, they are just communicating, just giving people information, not calling them to action. So you need to define, this is our hierarchy of brand messaging. Then finally, your language, the language that you use. For example, if I'm marketing, maybe I'm running a brand that is local back here in Kenya. You don't expect me to put a lot of sophisticated English words, you know, technical words. You expect me to have some local dialect. You need some local vibe, some local cliches, you know. The language needs to be understood, because if I'm talking to my local people, I don't need to talk to them with a language they don't understand. I need to talk to them with a language they can get, they can understand. So it's very, very important to be intentional. You tell them, for us, we are targeting locals, not internationals. So if we are targeting locals, let us talk to them in this kind of language. It will get home. All right. Then now on the brand guideline, the fourth thing is now the brand application. You need to be very, very intentional on how your brand needs to be applied in terms of, if it is the print, how is your logo printed on t-shirts? How will it be printed? Even if you don't have the budget now, in future, you need to have a set of rules. How will it be printed on t-shirts, on prints? How will it be done on marketing materials? How will it be done? Application, like if it's your logo, how will it be? If it's your pattern, how will it be represented? Your social media posts, how do they need to look like? All right. For example, we have been doing some social posts, and there is the specific way we do it, so that at least people can identify with us. So finally, we have the guidelines. How do you want to your brand to be applied on your guidelines, on your templates, on your website? How does your website need to look? I don't know if you've ever tried to visit a website, you saw their advert, then you visit your website, then you are like, oh my goodness, I think I'm in the wrong place. It doesn't represent what I saw on the advert. because you can see the advert, we have the poster in the blue and the orange, or the red and the orange. Then when you go to the website, it is purple and pink. Then you are like, oh my, am I in the right place? So you need to set that rule that if you're to build for us a website, these are our colors, these are our fonts, these are our imagery. All right. Then in the future case, maybe your business might want to build an app. How will it be represented? Like the icon, the app icon, how will it look like? The interface, the UI, UX, how will it look like? So brand application, it's good also to set those rules. Then finally, it's now brand management. Your guideline needs to cover your brand management. So this section provides guidance on how to maintain a brand, your brand in terms of consistency and integrity over time. How will your brand run? How will it be managed? You define. This is how you handle our brand. This is how you engage our brand. This is how you represent our brand. So in a nutshell, we have said that brand guideline carries 5 things. That is brand strategy, brand identity, tone of voice, brand application, and finally, number 5, brand management. Remember, brand guideline is just a set of rules on how your brand needs to be represented. So finally, I'll just end by handling this subtopic on now the essence of brand guideline. What is the essence? Why do we need to have one? So number 1, we need to have a brand guidelines for consistency purposes. So you need to be very, very consistent. So as a business owner, how is your brand represented on social media? Is it consistent with how it is represented on your TV ads? Is it consistent with how it is represented on your website, on your mobile app? So you need to have a brand guideline so that we have consistency. I remember back then in high school, good memory, Isabelle. I was in Form 2. I was just this boy, just in the stupidity of those years, and I was in my adolescence. So I was in the vibe of I want to engage and have a friend who is a girl or a girlfriend in that case. So we used to have these school functions that we used to go to. And now in those school functions, there is how we used to have like a reward system when you go back to school. How many girls did you talk to? How many girls did you get their numbers to communicate with them back? So I remember I remember being in a hall in the event hall back there in the school, and my eye was caught by this very beautiful lady. I'm telling you, she was so pretty. I was distracted all through the session because I was like, this is the girl I want after this session to talk to, because I knew if I can talk to her when I go to school, back to school, my grading would be my fellow student would be talking about me. I think the whole year. She was so beautiful. So I remember I was so caught up with that moment, to a point I used to go out and in, moving up and about. I just want to capture her attention. So after the session, we took a break, and now it was time to engage. So when I went to engage, it was just a turn off, because back then I was in adolescence. You understand how the adolescence psychology works. The boys' adolescence. It was just stupid back then. So it was a turn off because how she was beautiful, but how she was talking, I couldn't take the conversation further. So I was like, do you know another lady called Faith in your school? I was just now cutting the story. You see, it was mean and it was stupid, but I'm using this story to say that sometimes if you're not consistent, how she was talking was not consistent with how I had perceived her. I'm telling you, I came to realize, Kumbe, I came to realize I was not alone. I had even other friends. I had even other friends who were speculating on the same. So it was not consistent with how I had perceived. And this is what happens. your brand is so beautiful, your brand is so, it has the best colors, it has the best brand identity. But when we engage, it is not consistent. It starts turning us off. You know, when we go to your website, it's not consistent. With your communication, it's not consistent. Then we are like, oh, okay, I think this is not the right people to do business with. Or I saw your advert on LinkedIn and I wanted to engage you, and I engaged. Hey, hi, Isabelle. And how you communicated it, you know, how you had represented yourself and how you communicate, how you handle me, the experience that you give me is not consistent with what you told me that you are. So it is very, very important to have a guideline, to be intentional, so that you don't turn off your clients. Not just clients, but even investors. Sometimes we turn them off. Sometimes we turn off funders, all right? We turn off potential partners. We turn off skilled labor or skilled employees or staff, however you want to call them, because you're not consistent. Your brand is not consistent. So Seth Godin said that a brand is the set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that, taken together, account for consumers' decision to choose one product or service over another. So you need to bring all these aspects together. They need to be consistent with each other. The expectation is met by the memories that they get out of your customer experience, the stories they get from there, the stories they take from your brand, the stories they share about you needs to be consistent. The relationship that you have with your clients need to be very, very consistent. That's why you might choose Elijah and not Maina, you see? And you might not choose Maina and not another person, because maybe they are consistent. So consistency is very important. Point number 2, and I just have 5 on the essence. Number 2 is the clarity. Clarity. You need to have clarity. So brand guideline helps you set the clarity on how you need to be represented. So it is very clear when you get a designer, it is very clear to them what they need to do, who you are, where you're going, and what they need to do to help you do it. I don't know if you've ever experienced backs and forths with stakeholders. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You waste time, you waste in resources, you waste money because of the backs and forth. So you need to be very, very clear in terms of how are you represented accurately? Are you represented consistently? So it helps with the clarity. And Marty again says that a brand is not a logo. A brand is not an identity. A brand is not a product. A brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or organization. It's their gut feeling about you. So you want to be very, very clear the emotion you want to invoke from these people and how you want them to perceive you. So it helps with clarity. Point number 3, you need it for efficiency. All right, for efficiency, to avoid wasting time, resources, money, and having the headache to keep on explaining to stakeholders. So if you get a new designer, it is very, very easy. You just send them the brand guideline and then you give them a brief as an entrepreneur, and you now go back to focus on your serious things that you're focusing on. But imagine every time you're enrolling a new person to come, maybe a marketer, a salesperson, you keep on repeating yourself. It's not efficient way. Then number 4 is brand protection. Some of us, we do disservice to our brands. We don't protect it. All right, you don't protect it. You protect yourself. Why don't you protect your brand? And you know, a brand is like a person. Why don't you protect it? So you need a guideline so that we are able to protect it in terms of how legally should it be presented. Sometimes we have people who come on board and they start stealing your colors. They start stealing your representation. They start messing up and stealing your logo. Or you get malicious people who are hired to come work with your brand. They come on board to harm. Maybe it's a designer who comes to just misrepresent your. I've seen it back here. I don't know how it happens, if it happens that way on that side. But back here, I've seen a company that has been brought down by another company. They pay the stakeholders just to tamper with the brand, you see. So basically, you need to and protect your brand in terms of remember, this is an intellectual property, so you need to protect it in terms of is it copyrighted? How should it be legally represented? How should it not be represented? You need to set that clearly. I should be represented this way. I should not be represented this way. You can, if you want to use our baby resources, this is how you use our resources. You don't go messing with our resources. You don't go editing our resources. For example, I am giving you a manual. Maybe I'm giving you a template. Don't go messing with our template. All right. You cannot download, you're very clear what needs not to be downloaded. So it's very, very important to protect your brand, so that at least you're proud about it. Then the last point is, so on a brand protection, there, I was almost forgetting a quote. So this quote was goes like this way: a brand is a mental association. A brand is a mental association in the customer's mind that signifies a certain product, service, or company, and that differentiates it from the competition. So you need to protect it. All right. Imagine this is what sets you apart from your competition. Then you're just letting it be all over. You have not protected it. Then people like Elijah might come on board and with malicious intention and just harm your brand. Then we have the last bit is differentiation. All right. Differentiation from competition. It helps you to be very clear on what differentiates you from your competitor. It's now becoming very clear to your team. This is our unique selling point. These are our colors. This is how we are differentiated from other people. This is how we flow. This is how we go. This is our culture. This is how we handle our customers. All right. So Wally Olin says that brands are like people. They have their own personalities. They have their own histories. They have their own stories to tell. So you need to use a brand guideline at least to communicate this person. Remember, brand is like a person. So you need to communicate it to all your stakeholders. Be excited to tell your brand to someone else. Be excited to tell them about it. So you can find that I've seen myself in situation where you get to a networking event. And you get out of it, you're not having introduced your brand because you don't even have a framework. Your brand is everywhere. You don't even know your brand message. So thank you so much. And back to you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Elijah. Thank you very much. And there are things I have to do on my brand, but the thing which really resonated to me was consistency. Being consistent with the colors, the logo, the way we communicate, and that's something I do. But I think I need to do a bit more digging on that, and maybe like a few tweaks as well. So thank you ever so much, Elijah, for your presentation. And audience, if you want to contact Elijah, you can see his email alongside his name, but I've put his email as well in the description of this live. And so you can contact him if you're a bit stuck or if you want to rebrand or debrand. I learned something today about debranding. So feel free to contact Elijah. I'm sure he's going to listen to you, your mission, define it with you, and as well create the emotion in engaging your clients, so they call for you or they buy from you, and so you can grow your business. So thank you ever so much, Elijah. And guess what? Next week, my guest is our favorite friend as well from Kenya. That's Angela Zilani, who's coming back.
Wow.
And she's going to talk about turning your life blues into inspirations. Wow. So don't miss it. And obviously, talking about missing, If you've missed the previous talk shows, they are on my YouTube channel, Phoenix Coaching and Training. So you can find me on YouTube, click on subscribe, click on the little bell. So you will be the first ones to know when I've uploaded new videos and new talk shows. So thank you ever so much, Elijah. Thank you, audience.
Thank
and
you.
I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.